Right, audio, video,
Record's on, video's on, video's hot.
You don't stand at it.
yeah, the red light's on, right?
Yeah.
What part is the other one?
Your
How
house
many
too,
years
video
is it on
recording.
my hot flash? I used to get it, yeah, I used to get it, and my body
Big
flashes. I was putting on a shirt, just actually.
All the crap.
It's like, I'm
It's all hard work.
I don't think I want a flannel shirt. Oh, good. Well, this is why I love it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is September 3rd, 2019, Board of Selectmen, Town of Greenland. We're going to start with a roll call from my right. Justin Naraki. Red Huzzy. Jim Roll. Chip Huzzy, for the record, Steve is out tonight. And also for the record, we are live streaming and having an audio recording. First on the agenda is public comments. And Leonard Schwab has signed up to go over historic district.
I'm Leonard Schwab, I live at 103 Water's Edge, president of the Greenland Historical Society this year. And at a recent meeting of our admin committee, a colleague asked, why doesn't Greenland have any historic districts? We've got a 2,764 page town history written by the Hughes, and far exceeds anything our neighboring towns have, and yet we have nothing in place to protect any historic properties. So if someone wanted to come in and buy one of the large homes and decide to knock it down because there's additional acreage, do we have any say in it? Right now we don't. So what I'm here to do in my 3 minutes is simply suggest to the selectmen that a committee be formed of a representative from the selectmen, someone from the planning board, and someone from the historical society, and any other individuals who might be interested to explore the possibility of doing historic district overlay. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, approval of minutes of August 19th.
I move to approve the minutes of Monday, August 19th, 2019 as written.
Second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving right along. Coakley update.
Yeah, we have no update this time. Under other business, we do have an application for appointment to the New Hampshire Seacoast Commission on drinking water, which is related to Coakley. However, I have that under new business other.
Okay. Next, Weeks Library update.
Okay, you'll find attached in your packet some items of information that are forwarded from Attorney Laughlin regarding building material requirements for the library, and the fact that Attorney Laughlin has filed a joint request for final approval and a joint proposed order with the Rockingham Superior Court. And you'll also note Underwood Engineers has received approval from the state for the septic system. And so things are moving forward with that. Anyone else in the audience has anything else to add?
All right, quickly moving around our own gang, MS4.
As you may know, the MS4 requirements are implemented on a number of different towns in this area as stormwater requirements. And I've been working with Rockingham Planning Commission, and they will be helping Greenland complete the necessary paperwork as part of that. A number of the storm catch basins and such will need to be cleaned. I'm working on getting that done this week. And we will also have some street sweeping done on the streets that have granite curbing along them. If they're within the area required by the MS4, there's a very colorful map here that can show you in detail what areas of town are exempt from MS4 requirements and which ones are required to do. Basically, the private roads don't have to be done, and the state roads don't have to be done. It's just town roads that may fall within the area. Most of southern Greenland actually is exempt from the requirements. I'll still be having them clean the storm basins and such because it's good practice and I don't think they've been done for a while. But they're exempt from the reporting requirements, so we don't have to measure the quantity of materials that we're pulling from the catch basin, whereas we do on the other areas of town. We also have to measure how much sand the street sweeper sweeps up. Can be kind of a loose number, you know, roughly how many yards of material. It's not an exact science, it's kind of an estimation. And that all gets reported to the EPA. We do have the street sweeper for a minimum of 4 hours, and based on the number of curved roads with granite curbing, I don't think we're going to need them for a full 4 hours. So if you have any recommendations on roads that you'd like to see a street sweeper go by, because we'll have them, I believe, for at least an extra hour or two. If we're going to be paying for it, we might as well have them buzz up and down a couple roads. So if you notice any sand in any of the streets in Greenland and they aren't currently being maintained by the state and they aren't private, let me know. And I can try to get that on the itinerary for them to look at and do. But again, we have to separate the MS4 requirement from the other areas. So they would have to come, once they finish sweeping the areas for the MS4, they would dump their load, and then they could go back out and do the other roads as we, you know, have 4 hours for them to play with. So.
What kind of time frame would you like to start this work?
We're looking at getting it done this week.
Oh, getting the work done this week, okay.
Yep. So hopefully we're able to do that. The deadline, most of the deadlines are at the end, towards the end of the month for meeting the requirements. So we're trying to move forward fairly quickly on this. Any other questions?
All right. Next on the agenda, CIP.
Okay, the CIP, the planning board has requested it by now, and Chairman Chip Hussey has mentioned some of the items at the selectmen's meeting in August on areas that he'd like to see addressed, including highways, the transfer station, and other areas. And I don't know if the board has any additional items they'd like to share with planning board. Certainly you'll have more opportunity during the budgeting process if you think of something you'd like to put it in. It's not now or never. There's some flexibility here. Again, it's trying to plan for long-term purchases of capital items that we can start saving for, and that way you don't have as much of a spike in the tax rate when you go to purchase an item, because you've been saving the money right along. So it's a good project, and it's effective when it's utilized well. Again, at the same time, you can always get petition warrant articles that could throw all your planning out of whack if they decide they want to purchase something very expensive, and it hasn't been part of the CIP process. So that's why it's really important to listen to the community and the needs of the voters to see what they want as well, so you're able to incorporate that into the CIP and plan and save.
And let's see. Anybody else have anything?
Nothing to add, sidewalk repairs, maintenance, the town buildings, bandstand replacement.
There's way too much.
There is way too much.
I totally agree, but to be honest with you, that should have been started 10 years ago. The bandstand repair replacement, I was kind of hoping a group in town would take over that whole project as far as designing what's going to happen with, you know, does it stay where it is, does it move, that type of thing.
The bandstand up by Remembrance Park.
Yes. You know, I had a personal thought of moving it and making it larger so the whole band could be on bandstand. The problem is it's structurally it's got some problems coming down the pipe. It was estimated 2 years ago and had about a 5 to 10 year life. I'm leaning towards 5 because somebody already put their hand through the roof and had to get repaired already. Whether they're hanging Christmas bulbs, so. All right. Anybody got any old business?
Not this time.
I just want to remind you that we got a couple issues on personnel policy that we need to solve, and we're gonna get that going by next meeting. Those the, intellectual properties and the use of town equipment. The two things I had on my list. I think most of that falls under Tara and Ralph, because they got the most people. So they were gonna look into it, see if somebody else is to call if they're on.
Yeah.
Okay, have we got anything else? It's Weeks Library Trustees resignation.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Willow seems to be a little nervous, so maybe we could,
I'm wondering if she needs to maybe
yeah, I think so.
visit outside.
Have some
Okay.
comfort.
You wanna go outside with her right now? And-
Yeah, you know what, I'll take her off, and maybe she can do a little business.
Okay. All right.
Don't forget
Since
your
Lola
glasses.
decided she wanted to powder her nose, we'll go back to the Weeks Trustees resignation.
Do you want to speak to that?
I believe you received a letter from Stephanie Jaggers for personal reasons. She had to resign from the board, and we did accept her resignation at our last meeting. And therefore, we have asked you all to appoint Libby Elwood, sitting to my left, as her replacement for the balance. I don't know if it's for the balance of the term or until the
Yes.
next.
Until March.
So Mark.
Until March, at which point in time she understands she would have to stand for election again.
Then it hasn't burdened you not so you can run for the office.
No, well, you have to come into the office once you've been appointed by the selectmen and be sworn in by March.
So in the suggested motion, I would add and appoint Libby Elwood at the very end for the remainder until March, basically.
All right. I move to approve resignation of Stephanie Jaggers as a Weeks Library trustee, and also to approve the appointment of Libby Elwood as a Weeks Library trustee, term to expire March 2020.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That was relatively painless, wasn't it?
Yes,
I didn't catch that.
Thank you.
Was that you, Rick? Seconding?
my pleasure.
I second.
Jim, thank you.
Alrighty. Budget 2020.
Okay, thank you. So we just did both of those. So I've attached in there a budget schedule that's been worked out with the budget committee and the school board and department heads. So that is pretty much it right there. I plan on asking department heads to submit their budgets to me. I'm not putting a cap on them at this time. I'd like to see what they think they need and what they'd like, and then kind of start making cuts as we need to from there. So that's my approach. And I like it because it also lets the selectmen see what the department heads believe they need to be successful in their roles and what the community needs maybe, and from there we can pare it down. That's what the board needs. So.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Hey, well, Willow's still powdering her nose. Anybody got any other new business?
I do have a reminder that there's an emergency management meeting for tomorrow. There's two sessions. One is at 9 a.m., one is at 7 p.m. For anybody that would like to attend that, that'll be here in the conference room.
Is it the same agenda for both meetings?
Yes. Yeah, you don't need to go to both.
7 p.m. tomorrow?
7 p.m. or 9 a.m., one or the other. I'll be at the 9 a.m., but not the 7. And I also left on the tables here under other new business that Dennis Malloy has requested appointment to the New Hampshire Seacoast Commission of Drinking Water. The town has posted that any resident interested may apply. And to date, Dennis Malloy is the applicant, and I think he is a good one. He has a lot of experience in that area, and I think would represent Greenland well.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we move to appoint Dennis Malloy to the New Hampshire Seacoast Commission on Drinking Water.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Willow, you're on.
Okay. As you may be aware, the police department has proposed to have a comfort dog. This is Willow. And Dave, do you want to tell us about Willow?
So Willow is 12 weeks old. Obviously, she's a mostly golden retriever. We've only had her for, well, not even a week or so. She came to us. She was actually, her and her litter mates were part of a group of dogs that was seized from somebody. One of the dogs happened to be carrying, and Willow was one of the puppies. So when these puppies were born, they have a dog behavioralist, I guess, that checks them out. And Willow was the only one that checked out to be compatible for being a comfort dog. And you're seeing a puppy that's 12 weeks. This isn't, usually they're all over the place. She's pretty low key. So an opportunity arose, and we thought that it would be a benefit for the town. And so the chief was able to acquire her. Now at this point, obviously, with the approval of the board, she would come on as a comfort dog. She has to have some basic obedience training, and then she'll go to a more advanced training. Pretty much all the costs have been donated. Greenland Vet offered to give us a 20% discount, and the money that remains would come from Lion, who agreed to pick up the cost for her vet bills. Tractor Supply was generous enough to feed her. So other than some small costs, we don't see any big expense with her. I'll tell you, as a comfort dogs, they can be very useful as far as victims, and also just people in general. People come into the station and they can put them at ease. Someone to greet them, and now, so we've had her a week. This is the second time I've heard her bark. She barked at my house tonight, but there was a dog next door that was calling to her, and just now. But she's a good girl. We think that it would be advantageous for the town, especially dealing with victims, emotional kids, younger kids. And as you can see, she can be pretty charming.
She's doing her job. She's
Yeah.
comforting the audience.
Kind of put everyone at ease. Questions, concerns, issues? Well, I wasn't asking you, I was asking them.
Would she be created at the station?
So she'll be at the station, yeah. Right now, we have a pen for her with a bed, and the door's open. At night, she goes home because she's so young. Eventually, as she gets older, if she can stay, then she'd stay at the station. Our administrative assistant takes her, who's kind of a skilled dog handler already, myself and the chief. So, like today, she came home, hung out at my house tonight. But ideally, when she gets older and everything's under control, she could probably stay at the station. And honestly, we'll talk to some of the people that we're doing our training with and see what they say is the best way to handle it. But that's Willow.
Will she be spayed?
I'm sorry, yes, she will, she's too young right now. She has all the shots and everything she can have up to this point, but right now she's too young we have to register, but she's too young. and we would get her spaded
Do you have a
before.
donor for that cost?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a donor for the cost of spading?
Yes, that's covered. We'll probably spring for the registration.
The high cost of
Hey,
registering.
don't be late, that's all I'm gonna tell you right now. It does get expensive if you're late.
Yeah.
Yeah. And any other questions?
So the reason it's on the agenda is because there is a no dog in town building policy. In the past, this has been waived under special circumstances, so a suggested motion here would include that waiver.
And on that note, something else that if we were gonna consider having her, that we might entertain is just a flat motion to accept the donation. Instead of having to come every single time and asking, can we accept the donation? As far as the care. I believe where we would be taking donations in, she has to become a line item, so we can show that we took funds in and this is where we expended the funds.
That's also part of the motion, if you choose.
I move to waive the policy of no dogs in town buildings, only for Canine Willow as a comfort dog. In addition, all donations received by the town are approved and accepted for Willow's care and training.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have one thing, we're not, is that, the way that's written, Matt, it's like all donations received by the town. Shouldn't it be,
And if you go on, it says for Willow's care and training, so that's conditional that the donations received are for Willow's care and training.
okay, well,
But we can certainly wordsmith that. How would you recommend it be?
I don't
Your
know,
motion.
it seemed a little like.
To the town, probably instead of by,
To the town, yeah?
yeah.
For Willow's care and training are approved.
All donations received to the town for Willow's care and training are approved, so I'll move that from the end of the sentence to after town.
Everybody all set with that?
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Well, thanks you.
moving right along.
All in favor?
You already brought it home.
Bring it back now.
My wife would keep it up. There were plenty of people at the end that no, I think that would have stepped up.
What do you do, the manifest?
All right, you want to do the manifest next?
I move we approve the attached manifest of unpaid bills detail as of September 5th, 2019, in the amount of $506,000 and $506,017.58. Do we need to put in the?
I think it'd be good to put it in, only because we've asked 3 times and 3 times it hasn't happened. All we're getting is the authorization to hire them, not to pay the bill.
Right. And what's happened here is we removed the invoice from the cemetery trustees, no authorization from the cemetery trustees, and the wrong account was charged.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Later we'll explain it. I understand. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for spending all that money, Jim.
$400,000 was for the Greenland School District.
So that invoice in reference just had the minutes to the meeting where they authorized the charges without specific indication that they reviewed the bill. That was on hold, okay?
I'm making a motion to approve the attached manifest for unpaid bills detailed as of September 5th, 2019 in the amount of $161,399.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jim has one more.
No, you don't need to.
That's just saying, we don't have to
That's
do that.
different.
It's just-
It's just that one, yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
Thank you. So we have one more.
Yeah, one
We have
more.
one more.
I'll read it.
All right.
I'll jump in. I'd like to make a motion to approve the attached payroll number 18, paid date September 5th, 2019, for the period of August 19th, 2019, through and including September 1st, 2019, in the gross amount excluding payroll liabilities in $57,210.80.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think you should have it. There. This is. That needs to be a roll call.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we enter non-public session. And it'll be under RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parentheses C. Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Roll call vote, please.
Durante, aye.
Rick Hussey, aye.
Jim Rolston, aye.
Chip Fuzzy, aye. Okay.
Right, but we're not supposed to.
All right.
We are
Now
ready?
recording again.
Okay, the cameras are still off?
Yep. It'll take them 5 minutes to come back on. We want to take the time, we think we'll be done by that.
Let's be done
I
by.
would recommend you turn them back on.
Okay.
Because otherwise people will talk
I agree.
and wonder what happened.
This is
Okay,
good.
just another one, come back on. Be right back.
Oh, I need to get some food.
Everybody sign this card?
Thank you. Did you get that, Matt? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You put that in?
No, Charlotte did. Yeah.
Thank you.
Not with a puppy.
I don't understand the whole comfort animal thing. I really don't.
Watch the cameras, yeah. Okay, you're
Both
on.
are hot.
Okay, so we've come out of non-public. And there's a motion made and approved to seal the minutes of non-public.
Okay? What I'm gonna recommend and make a motion of is that the charges be taken and placed that the cemetery had for maintenance come out of their,
Okay, so we're in other business.
yeah,
And we're going back to the cemetery budget.
their contract, all those charges come out of contracted services, not out of the wages.
Okay. So is that a motion?
I'll second that motion.
Just for further discussion, now, if they want us to move money around, they should come and ask us to move money around.
So this is regarding the mowing. You've moved to that contracted services should be charged for that
Correct.
mowing. Okay. Chester seconded.
Yep. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Anything else you guys want to discuss?
Move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh. Say goodnight, Dick. Did I just state myself?
What did you say?
Good night, Dick.
Good night, Dick. Good night.